Trump campaign released a statement in response to the speeches that we've had so far at the DNC, although, as Michael pointed out yesterday, generally you don't campaign during the week of the other party's convention. You certainly don't directly address it, but he is here. And the reason that we're talking about it, is that it is in itself a masterclass in projection. And so feel free to cut in at any point if you like this, but it starts off Trump campaign statement on the DNC's night of empty rhetoric. And they start with this. Tonight was a sad night for the Democratic Party. They offered no solutions for the problems facing America. In fact, they pretended those problems didn't even exist. They described a vision of America that doesn't exist for most Americans, which we've mentioned before, including the 70% of Americans who think our country is on the wrong track. Never has a party been so disconnected from what is happening in our world.
So let's pause there. The only fair part of that is 70% think that we're on the wrong track. That's true. The rest of it is nonsense. Not nonsense, as John pointed out, total projection. Like in their 4 days of their convention, not outside of coal mining, not one policy. They barely even talked about the wall. I've never seen a convention so empty of ideas in my entire life.
I was just thinking that, how does Stephen Miller walk into a room and say, "Hi, Stephen Miller, Senior Policy Advisor to Donald Trump"? That's his title.
This is how it goes. "Hi, I'm Stephen Miller, Senior Policy Advisor to Donald Trump. You want to go golfing?"
I have nothing to tell you. Yeah,
His desk has nothing on it. Yeah. And to be fair, Anna and I talked about this on Periscope. We were trying to come up with, and by the way, I don't think at the DNC a lot of specific policies have really been mentioned. A few. We were trying to think of ones for the RNC, and you mentioned coal, and I thought, but that's not a policy. I don't know what he's going to do with coal. It's just coal.
Yeah, they're just pro
That's
coal.
all it is.
But what does that mean exactly?
It means I need white votes. I want white votes. I got to do whatever I can to keep those white votes.
The coal industry is in decline, and it has been in decline for many years.
Matter.
How is he going to counter that? We don't know.
Thousands upon thousands of people who make their living
he
from
didn't
coal.
say how he's going to reverse.
Oh no, of course not. But that's all they need to hear is that they're getting repped.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, so we got some more for you. Instead of dealing with reality, they spoke in cheap, petty terms beneath the dignity of a convention.
Oh,
Wow, that is amazing.
Wow. This is a textbook case in projection.
I think he's confusing the conventions.
Yeah. Maybe, he wrote this after RNC, and he's like, well, like he was thinking of like, this was his resignation letter. And then he's like, nah, I'll stay. And he's like, oh, I'll just hand it in for the DNC.
That is the second biggest case of clear projection. We're going to get to the first in just a second. First, this, which is actually kind of not the same. Their entire message could be summed up as, things are perfect, let's not change a thing. But then they say, so they resorted to the politics of fear, trying to convince Americans not to vote for change. They spoke on behalf of the big banks and the big elites. They didn't speak on behalf of the big banks openly.
That was
they represent them.
that was my criticism, that they didn't talk about, money in politics or big banks enough.
Yeah, not on behalf of suffering Americans. They want to keep the system rigged for their donors, period. By the way, right before the RNC started, they put out a call like, no, we need $6 million right now. What do you think they promised for that $6 million to run the convention? I think something.
A lump of coal.
Maybe coal. Maybe a coal in your stocking. I don't know. And by the way, and remember, and we have to make sure that everybody gets this, because especially with Trump supporters, you have to knock it into their head over and over and over again. Trump was lying about totally self-funding his primary campaign, but at least he mostly self-funded his primary campaign. I think it was insulting to the millions of Americans who did donate to him that he kept denying that actually happened, but at least in that case, he was sort of doing it. But he's out there sending funding emails, and he's sitting down with big rooms of donors, some of the richest Americans, corporations. Whatever fantasy he was sort of living about self-funding before is long gone, and he's taking pictures with his thumbs up next to Sheldon Adelson. So give me a break about the
only in
not having
America
donors.
can a guy who is a self-avowed billionaire over and over again go and ask people for checks for $2,600. It's just so pathetic and so it's actually perverse is what it is.
So, look, they do have a good point, and they're pretending that everything is perfect. They're not doing that, but it has some resonance when they say that. And when they talk about the big donors, that's their best line. They should probably stick with that and shut up about everything else. Mm-hmm. So that's fine. But the rest of it then takes away any legitimacy that line would have had when you say they ran a convention based on fear, when even Republicans concede, we kind of made America fear again. Right? And this one has been, in fact, we just did earlier in the show, a dozen Republicans saying, why couldn't we be as optimistic and hopeful as Barack Obama was in his speech?
Yeah.
So you know that's not true, and they know that's not true.
Yeah. So let's finish this up with the last graphic. Our campaign offers a bold, exciting, detailed vision for the future. I think he might have literally been laughing as he wrote that. But tonight, the Democrats offered only more rewards for the rich, powerful, and well-connected, and more angry, demeaning, sniping attacks against all decent Americans who want change for their families.
Yeah.
That literally
that's
describes
exactly
Chris
what
Christie's
happened.
speech.
So, but this is exactly the heel move that I've grown up with watching wrestling, right? The Rowdy Roddy Piper will hit you over the head with a chair, and when you turn around, he goes, whoa, 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 what are you doing? Right? So Trump comes in there with like fury, like, they have destroyed us all. We're all walking into a furnace. What have the Democrats done? I alone can protect you, right? And then when somebody says, hey, Donald, you kind of did go bankrupt 4 times. He's like, how dare you?
Uncouth.
Right?
You have a fresh mouth, you know that?
I like what you guys said about coal, though. All you have to do is mention it, right? And then it makes
coal.
And then I thought, why don't we just do that with random minerals like uranium?
Anthracite.
Okay, Democrats.
Well, by the way, uranium got Republicans to vote for Bush.
Yeah, and this uranium has a lot of political things. Anyway, copper.